but one person that I really admire for her knowledge in nutrition, for her knowledge in skin therapy and skin in general, and how she has aligned those two together, is of course our next speaker, Fiona Tuck. She's not only a very knowledgeable person, but she's also a wonderful human being. She's just, a generous, kind, and a very approachable person who just loves to share her knowledge. And that's just, the perfect combination of someone special. So we've got now Fiona to talk to us about the holistic diagnosis, and I can't wait to hear. So Fiona, are you... sorry.
I'm here. You can hear me, can't you? Yes.
There we are. There she is. So we'll just put you on our video. So she should just.
I should just pop up. I think that's it.
You are. You've just popped up. So over to you, Fiona.
Thanks, Frank, and thanks for your kind words. You might see my dog and cat making some special appearances, so there we go. They just seem to be very keen to come into the Zoom meetings today, so I think it's warm where I am and they want to get cozy. But thank you for your kind words, and always a pleasure to collab with you all at Vital Plus, because you are all just so wonderful. Well, Frank very kindly asked me to come on and chat today about skin and holistic skin diagnostics, which is something that I've included in my skin consults for many, many years. And it's something that's in my book. So some of you might have my book, I think, and I've got it here, The Forensic Nutritionist. So today we were going to talk a little bit about what your face might be telling you. And I think as skin therapists, it's always really important to take a holistic approach when we're actually looking at the skin. So during skin consults, if we're seeing breakouts, if we're seeing redness, if we're seeing pigmentation, it's not just about treating those topically and leaving it at that. In order to really get good, long-lasting results for our clients, I think it's really beneficial to dig a little bit deeper and really try and understand what's going on internally as to what may have actually caused that condition in the skin. And when we can sort of find out that little bit of extra information, it may be that missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle that is going to allow us to get really good results for our clients. So I always combine topical skincare, topical treatments, and then looking at the nutritional aspect. So today we're really talking about looking at the face. I'm a big believer that the face and the body never lie, and that we can tell a lot, even the emotions of someone, by looking at the face. I also believe that the body stores trapped emotions, and we'll save that for another day. But linking in a little bit of traditional Chinese medicine, which is not something that I'm qualified in. I have studied a little bit of it when I was studying yoga and incorporated the 5 elements theory. But even in traditional Chinese medicine, it's believed that we store different organs will store different emotions, and very much like acupuncture, we have energy channels throughout our body, and that we can see if there is disharmony in the body by looking at different areas in the face. So when I look at somebody's face, I'm taking that into consideration, but also looking from a nutritional point of view as well, because the skin is one of the first places to show signs of nutritional deficiencies. And so it can give us real clues as to what may be going on internally and whether that person may benefit from nutritional support, or may be needing a little bit of a conversation about nutrition. So it's a huge subject, and I could teach for days on this, but Frank asked me just to pull a few little golden nuggets out to share with you, and hopefully it's some new information. Something that I would say when you're looking at client skin, and some of you may already be doing this, is to really think about, first of all, the color of the skin. And when I say color, I'm not talking about the Fitzpatrick. I'm talking about the tone and the pallor of somebody's face. So for instance, if someone's got a lot of redness in the skin, is it somebody, for instance, that's got high blood pressure? Is that why they've got a lot of redness in the skin? If they've got high blood pressure, is that going to put more pressure on capillaries? And then if the capillaries are weak, they're going to be more prone to dilated capillaries. Is it redness in certain areas, which can mean obviously skin sensitivity, but it means there's some kind of current inflammation or even stimulation going on? And is that from an external stimulation, or is it an internal stimulation? So to give you an example, if someone's got rosy cheeks, I'm not talking about dilated capillaries, I'm just talking about a lot of redness in the cheeks. You see it a lot in children when they've got coughs or lung infections, because the cheeks can also correspond to the lungs. So if someone's got a lot of congestion or redness, or they've got a cold or a flu, quite often they will get redness in the cheeks. So where that redness is may, not always, but it may give us an indication as to what is going on a little bit deeper in the skin. What you can also see sometimes is redness in the chin area, just here. Sometimes people have very red chins. Now, it might just be because they're sitting like this and they're putting pressure on the chin, or it might just be, you know, we have to take into consideration, there's a lot of different reasons why it might be. But it may be as well, this area can correspond to elimination. And quite often if people have got sort of particularly sort of overstimulated bowels or IBS type things, sometimes they can hold a lot of redness in this area. So it's just something else to think about, because just notice if the color is actually changing in somebody's face. Also, if somebody's got very pale skin, it may be an indication of poor circulation or poor energy flow, which in turn is going to have a knock-on effect to devitalize skin, the cells not being as oxygenated and being as fed as well with the nutrients that they need. So it can be a sign of nutrient depletion, particularly things where people may be low in iron, low in vitamin D, low in certain nutrients. They can look very pale and very pasty. So it might be that someone's got naturally that porcelain china type skin, or it might be because somebody is looking pasty, which might mean that they are a little bit nutrient deficient, and we can start to look for other clues. So even the color of the skin is very important. Sometimes people can almost take on a slightly gray tinge to the skin, which can sometimes mean that the liver is overburdened or slightly sluggish. And you'll see that in people with liver issues. And obviously really serious liver issues, then we can start to see jaundice and yellowing in the skin. But that grey tone is often seen if someone has either got a sluggish liver or a lot of toxins in the body. You know, heavy smokers, heavy drinkers, the skin can have a very slight grey pallor to it. Also things like blackheads. We know that blackheads are sort of sebum and dead skin cells blocked in the follicles, but it also means that there's a sluggishness in that area. Everything's sort of slowed down and sluggish, so poor lymphatics. And that's when lymphatic drainage, obviously your normal treatments to treat blackheads, but things like lymphatic drainage could be beneficial. You know, if somebody is a smoker, you're going to see a lot more blackheads around and a lot more congestion around this area as well. It often goes hand in hand. Also, things like breakouts. If somebody is getting breakouts, look on the face where those breakouts are occurring, because where the breakouts are appearing can tell us a lot about what's triggering or what's behind the breakout. So often, if someone has got breakouts all over the face, there's a sign of a lot of heat and inflammation within the system, and that's sort of coming from within. If the breakouts are really sort of around the jaw and the neck, sometimes the chest and the back, we're looking at more of a hormonal type acne. If it's just one breakout, just sort of on the lower chin area around here, usually they will appear monthly, because this area can correspond to the reproductive area. So quite often you'll notice that clients get one breakout once a month when at around the time of ovulation, and then that breakout will disappear again and then come back the next month. Often it can actually be the side of ovulation. And with men, you know, this with women relates to the ovaries, with men it can relate to the testes, and quite often you'll see that in teenage boys when they're getting acne. It can all be sort of around this area. So looking at where the breakout can tell us a lot, quite often around the neck area and sort of around this area can also tell us that it can be stress related linked to the adrenal glands. So again, this isn't set in stone. We need to look for more clues and ask the questions, but it can give us a good indication of what might be going on. Interestingly, on the face, where people have these nasolabial folds, and they can start right from the nose going all the way down to that outer edge here, I look at those as colon lines, so large intestine lines. So if somebody, and I'm sure you've all seen it, quite often can get breakouts almost literally along the line of the large intestine. I don't know if anyone's seen that. And then that would tell me that this is going on more with gut health. And then sometimes the breakouts can be here and the digestion area around here. So, but particularly if you see breakouts literally here, then that can be related to gut. Sort of the reproductive area is more here and more around here. So looking at where those breakouts are can be very symbolic. Also looking at the skin, is it congested and cool, which means it's sluggish and lacking in stimulation, or is it red and hot, as in breakouts or redness and irritation can mean there's more inflammation, not only in the skin, but it could also be internally within the body. So that can give you some really good indications. Quite often find when people get breakouts on the forehead, obviously that can be through topical product application, but internally these breakouts occur quite often when there's too many rich or fatty foods or high GI, high carbohydrate type foods in the diet. So a lot of white products, white bread, white pasta, cake, sugar, fizzy drinks, alcohol. And quite often we can get breakouts here, and we can also get them in the this area which corresponds to the liver. You may notice if you've had a big weekend and you've been drinking too much, some people may find that they get breakouts around this area. Some people may find that if they have certain foods that don't agree with them, the area around here will go red, or it will even go red and flaky. And again, different things can cause this. So, but this is just another avenue to explore. Obviously, somebody could have been using topical treatments that have caused that as well. So it's important that we explore all angles. But I do find it fascinating when you really start to look at someone's face, even when you look at body shapes, where we store fat in the body can tell us a lot about the hormones and what's going on in the body as well. Looking at the face and the hair and the eyebrows and the lips can all give us an idea as well as the general health and well-being of a person. The kidneys are very, when you're looking at somebody's hair, it can often represent my dog in the background, sorry. It can, oh dear, yeah, I knew you can't take him anywhere. So when we're looking at he's humping in the background there. When we're looking at when we're looking at the health of the hair, sometimes that can relate to the health of the kidneys. And so we also know that the kidneys have the adrenal glands that cap them, and these are the glands that are involved in our fight or flight. And so if somebody is very stressed and they're using up a lot of nutrients like B vitamin C, and magnesium, that may also affect the health of the hair. So just another thing to think about. Thyroid can also affect the health of the hair. When we're looking at the ears, has anyone ever noticed red burning ears? Sometimes you can go, oh, my ears are always burning. I don't know why I've always got redness in the ears. You can see it on children a lot as well. Sometimes that can be early signs of a food intolerance. So if you notice that the ears are red, just start to think about what you've eaten, because sometimes it might mean that there's a slight intolerance, not a severe allergy, but a slight intolerance. And you do see it in children a lot. It can also be if you've had a lot of stimulants, something like too much caffeine, then you can also find that can make the ears go red. But I'm a big believer that the ears go red for a reason, and quite often it's the subtle clues in the body that you can pick up on. Also with the ears, I find really fascinating that the ears, if you ever look on the ear and see a very deep vertical crease, sometimes that can be an indication that there's cardiovascular disease. Has anyone got that? That there's, Frank's got it? Ah, okay. So it might just be the way that you sleep, but it might be that there's a history or a genetic tendency to cardiovascular disease in the family. So it's not to scare anyone, but it's just to be aware of that, because it may be a sign of early detection. It's actually called the Frank's crease, believe it or not. And it was actually found or discovered or noticed, should I say, by a doctor called Dr. Frank, who noticed that his cardiovascular patients all seem to have this deep crease in the ear. It may just be a genetic thing, but if you're noticing this crease getting worse, I definitely would say that it's worth just going to get a checkup for the doctor, because we should all be getting yearly checkups. We should all be getting heart health checkups. And if it is something that runs in the family, it's definitely worth getting checked out and just keeping on top of health. It may just be the way you sleep. It could just be earrings. There's lots of different factors, but there does seem to be this correlation between the Frank's crease and increased risk of cardiovascular disease. So if it runs in the family, then I would say definitely it's worth for everyone getting a yearly checkup. So I thought that was an interesting little nugget to share with you. Also, looking at your client's eyebrows, a lot of us are shaping eyebrows, and the eyebrows can really tell us a lot about somebody's well-being. Very common in the medical profession to look at the eyebrows as an indication for thyroid disease. And when we're looking at the eyebrows, the eyebrows also correspond with the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands and the thyroid work very closely together. So quite often if there's an issue with the adrenal glands, there will be a knock-on effect to thyroid health as well. So if somebody is losing their eyebrow hair from the outer edge, sometimes that can mean that person is under a lot of adrenal stress, or it can be a sign of hypothyroidism. Now, when it comes, so, I mean, obviously we can tattoo them back, but you'll find that when the thyroid is corrected, quite often the hair grows back as well. But if somebody has got hypothyroidism, that is going to have a knock-on effect to the condition of the skin. We're going to see poor wound healing, everything slower and sluggish. And so if you're doing things like collagen induction therapy, it may affect the efficacy of the treatment, but it may be something that the client's not aware of. So it can be a sign of early thyroid. Also, the thyroid is very closely linked with gut health. So if somebody has got gut issues, something like leaky gut or increased gut permeability, that will have a knock-on effect to autoimmune conditions and to thyroid conditions as well. So quite often when we fix the gut up, it can also really benefit thyroid, particularly things like hypothyroidism and autoimmune type thyroid conditions. And again, we'd be also looking around the nasolabial folds, across the nose, around this area, to see if there's any redness, dryness, or breakouts, which may all correspond with digestion. So just a few little things to have to look out for. Also looking at the eyes can tell us a lot. So if you've got a client that is concerned with dark circles around the eyes, yes, we can do treatments, yes, we can give them eye creams, but we really want to know why they've got those dark circles in the first place. And there can be a number of reasons. Sometimes it's a genetic thing, that it's just due to that person's heritage, if you like. Certain, Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, Indian heritage will naturally have dark circles, and there's not very much, to be honest, we can do about that. If somebody is developing dark circles, for instance, if I see dark circles on a child, it's not normal to have dark circles on a child. So to me, that would be a little warning that there may be something else going on. Dark circles, when they're quite a bluey black color, sometimes can indicate food intolerances. So it could be food intolerances, food allergies. So I'd be looking to find out how they're reacting after certain foods. It could be a gut issue where they're not absorbing certain nutrients, but it would tell me that there may be something going on internally that needs a little bit more investigation. If the dark circles are also, what you need to think about with dark circles is, if we don't think it's a food allergy, is it a malabsorption type thing, or is it because they're not getting enough nutrients? And sometimes when people are deficient in things like iron or B12, we can start to see dark circles appearing slightly. So again, that might be something, especially with children, that's worth checking out. So if you've got a child with thinning hair that's not growing well, that's got reddies and dark circles, to me there may be a food intolerance, or worth getting checked out for celiac disease, that type of thing. So I do believe that the body is always trying to tell you something, and dark circles, usually our body is trying to tell us something, whether it's we're not getting enough nutrients, whether we're malabsorbing, or it's not just about being tired. So interestingly, with dark circles as well, sometimes we can get more of a brown yellow type color around the eyes. So the skin will take on a yellow or a brown tone. and that tells me that there's more of a liver component happening. It might be that the liver is a little bit sluggish, that the detoxification phases of the liver need extra support. It might be that that person is just genetically prone to just sort of a weakness in that area. And so they would be looking at supporting liver health with either an internal supplement or making sure that they remove things like alcohol from the diet and really rich fatty foods that can all be putting quite a bit of a strain on the liver. But if you see that, I'd also be looking for cholesterol deposits as well, which often look like little fatty deposits around the eyes, because cholesterol and the liver work quite closely together. So again, it might need some more exploration in that area, but it means that there may be something that's a little bit imbalanced in that area. So I would be looking at that. Also look at the color of the eyes as well. So looking at the whites of the eyes. Also, toxins can accumulate in the eye. So looking at the white of the eye, it should be a nice white color. It shouldn't be yellow in the eye, which is a sign of jaundice. But look at the actual iris, and the more toxins somebody has got, quite often it will build up in the iris, and you can see people's eyes, when I say change color, get brighter depending on their diet. So heavy smokers will have a lot of brown and orange in the iris of the eye, and you'll notice that when people give up smoking, their eyes look a lot clearer and a lot brighter. I know in naturopathy they use a lot of iridology, which is quite fascinating. You can really tell a lot from looking at somebody's eyes. But even the health, if somebody's got bright glossy eyes, it's a good sign. But if someone's sort of very dull in the eye, it can tell us a lot. So if somebody's got dark circles and they've got dark ring around the iris and very pale on the inner lid, that's usually a sign of low iron or an iron deficiency. So there are ways that we can tell. And we need iron for wound healing in the skin, and we need iron for healthy collagen production. So if somebody's not getting enough iron, their wound healing can be compromised and their collagen production will be compromised. And you'll often see that chronically low iron clients, they can also suffer from very flabby, flaccid skin as well. And that's quite often due to the low iron if it's not being corrected via diet or supplementation. Also looking at the whites of the eyes, quite often if someone's got a lot of capillaries, that's bloodshot eyes. I mean, bloodshot eyes can be caused for a number of reasons: tiredness, medications, all sorts of things, recreational drugs, alcohol. But if somebody's got permanent dilated capillaries in the eye, I'd also be looking a little bit closer at what else is going on in the body. Do they have cracks in the corners of the mouth, dry, cracked lips, any redness or irritation on the skin? Because sometimes that may be a sign that they are low in B vitamins, particularly vitamin B2. So if you're low in B2, quite often you'll get capillaries showing up in the eyes. You can see cracks in the corners of the mouth. You can see cracks on the heels, on the feet, these deep, dry cracks. And that can be a sign that somebody's not getting enough riboflavin in the diet. Now, B2 will come from things like eggs and dairy, and a lot of people cut those things out, particularly in, say, a vegan style diet. And so it could well be that redness, the cracks in the mouth, bloodshot eyes are coming from a nutritional deficiency, which can be quite easily corrected by getting a lot of B2 vitamins through food. And if you're not sure what foods have got what vitamins, if you've got my book, then I do have a whole section on foods and what vitamin is in what food. But things like dairy, eggs, broccoli, almonds are all a good source of B vitamins, but also just something else to think about. So dark circles could be a sign of a food intolerance. It could be a sign of nutrient depletion. Quite often it can be linked to iron. Or sometimes if somebody is a little bit liverish, there'll be more of a yellowing around that area. When we're looking at the cheeks, sort of the top of the cheeks, sometimes can be related to stress and adrenals. So sometimes people get breakouts around this area, but also this area can correspond with the lungs, which is why I was saying earlier, if someone's got a lung infection or cough, they can get quite red and rosy cheeked in this area. Looking at the cheeks as well, if somebody's got a lot of dilated capillaries on the cheeks, it's a sign that the capillaries are weak. So the capillaries can be caused by a lot of different factors, as we know, sort of putting the face in the shower or trauma, but they are becoming dilated because there's a weakness in that capillary. So it may be that they're low in collagen and that they're low in vitamin C. So if somebody's got a lot of capillaries, usually that would tell me that they need more vitamin C topically. They're antioxidants and getting more vitamin C in the diet. I'd also be asking them, do you get bleeding gums? Do your gums bleed when you brush your teeth? Because that's the first sign of low vitamin C. So if they're getting that, we want to make sure they're getting more vitamin C in the diet, because we need vitamin C for collagen, but also for capillaries as well. Another sign of low vitamin C is follicular erythema, which can occur on the backs of the arms and the tops of the legs. Now, a lot of people will confuse that with keratosis pilaris, but it's different. Follicular erythema is when there's like redness around the follicle, and it actually looks like little rings around the follicle. Most people think it's keratosis pilaris, but it's not, it's flat. That can also be a sign of low vitamin C. So topical application and really upping vitamin C foods, things like cherries, tomatoes, berries, cauliflower, capsicum, all of these types of foods, oranges, kiwis, these are going to really help boost vitamin C within the body. When it's keratosis pilaris, it looks more like chicken skin and it's more bumpy on the backs of the arms. And that's when we'd be looking at increasing things more like leafy green vegetables for the beta carotene, and also we'd also be looking at your omega-3s and essential fatty acids, and using externally things like exfoliators can be really, really beneficial. And I've literally seen keratosis pilaris disappear and follicular erythema. So these things are very, very easily corrected when we recognize what they are. Looking at the mouth as well, a lot of clients will come in with dry, cracked lips or redness and dryness in the lips. And you'll often find people sort of using balms and lip balms and not having much success. And that's because the cracks on the mouth, usually, unless they're using something that's causing irritation, will be due to nutrients and not getting enough nutrients. So if you think about it, we need nutrients for biochemical reactions to occur and for the skin to be healthy. The skin needs an array of nutrients: zinc, B vitamins, omega-3, magnesium, iron, amino acids, carbohydrates. It really needs to have adequate amounts of nutrients for the skin to function properly. And over time, this is when we start to see things go awry in the skin. So again, cracks in the corners of the mouth can be that we're not getting enough B vitamins, particularly B2, sometimes B6. But to me, that says, I would be saying, are you having dairy in your diet? And quite often they'll be saying no, and they're not replacing the B vitamins. If they cut out whole grains, they may not be getting the B vitamins. So you often find these things come up when people have cut out specific food groups. May just be that they're stressed and they need more of these B vitamins to cope. So cracks in the corners of the mouth can also be linked to things like zinc or low iron. So again, low iron, I'd be looking at the eyes, if there's any red in the eye, or if it's pale, more pale the eye on the inner eye, the more sign of iron deficiency. If it's zinc, then they tend to have poor wound healing. They'll get purple marks in the skin that hang around a long time after a lesion has healed, or a cut or a burn. This purple mark will hang around because the skin's very slow to knit together. Zinc can often mean that they get cracks at the top of the fingers as well. So if you look at the edge or the top of the finger, quite often it can be quite dry, and that can often be a sign that they're not getting enough zinc, or even essential fatty acids, or even iron and B vitamins. And remember that a lot of these nutrients work synergistically together. So the B vitamins are needed for the metabolism of our essential fatty acids. So if you're having enough essential fatty acids, but you're still low in B, you're not going to be able to metabolize them. So if you've supplemented a client with omega-3s, but they're low in Bs, then they may be saying to you, well, I'm not really seeing much of a difference because the body still can't utilize them. And they need things like magnesium as well, which is why I'm all about getting nutrients from nature when they come synergistically together, because they will enhance each other and work synergistically together and have better bioavailability. When you take one nutrient on its own, quite often you need other nutrients for absorption, or one nutrient on its own in a high dose will knock out other nutrients. So it's like a domino effect. So where possible, try and get your nutrients from food where they're perfectly balanced. So redness and irritation on the lips, the cracks can be low iron, zinc, or B vitamins. Redness and irritation on the lips, that could all be linked to nutrient depletion. But this area also represents sort of gut as well, and digestion. So sometimes if there's issues there, you'll see dryness and cracks on the lips as well. So all of these things are worth considering when you're actually looking at your client's skin. But usually I find B vitamins, zinc and iron, some of those vitamins may need to be boosted in the diet. Really good source of B vitamins. Some B vitamins are from dairy, but quite a few people don't have dairy. We can get B vitamins from whole grains, and we can get a really good source of B vitamins from nutritional yeast, which some of you may know about, some of you may not. But it's like a yellow powder that's inactivated yeast that is a wonderful source of B vitamins, zinc and magnesium, and people can just sprinkle that on food and really boost their nutrient value that way. And the Vitasol product uses it because we don't use synthetic vitamins. We use that to boost our B vitamins and zinc in there as well. So when it comes to the face, I always say the face never lies. Look for the condition of the hair, look for the eyebrows, look for what you're seeing on the skin. Where is it appearing? Is it red? Is it angry? Is it a sign of inflammation? Is it more congested? Is there poor lymphatics in that area? Could it be signs of nutrient depletion? So we're always constantly investigating. What we never do is we never point to a client and say, you've got low iron. We don't know unless we do a blood test. So we have to be very careful not to diagnose or say, oh, you've got cardiovascular disease. You have to be very careful how you approach the subject. It's really a little extra tool for you to look at and go, oh, there could be something going on in the gut area here. Or there may be a little bit of nutrient depletion here. Let's ask a few more questions about the diet to find that out, rather than self-diagnose, because it could be other factors that are also causing that. So we do have to be very, very careful. Just another area that comes up a lot in skincare, the nasolabial folds. We spoke about breakouts in this area. Sometimes you can see a lot of redness and irritation around this area. I find this comes up a lot. It can be linked to gut health, where we're looking then at if you do have a gut supporting product like the Purity from Vitasols, that's going to be really beneficial to get that internal support. But it's also linked to things like a magnesium and B vitamin, not getting enough of those, because we need those for healthy barrier function of the skin. So if I see redness and irritation around here, be asking about topical application. Are they putting strong actives straight onto that area, or is it something coming more internally? Is it more around the large intestine area? Have they cut particular food groups out? Have they been stressed? Because quite often this area comes up very red in times of stress, because we use more B vitamins up, more magnesium up around times of stress. And so that's when they may need to really look at the diet to be able to support that. Have they been drinking more? Because alcohol will deplete nutrients. And again, is that coming up every time they drink? Are they getting redness and dryness here and redness and dryness here? Then it's all coming from internal. So no amount of topical cream is really going to fix that up until we look at their internal issues. I always remember I had a client years ago that came to me with redness and irritation, and it was all around this area. And she had been to numerous different therapists, and each therapist had said, all they'd asked really was, what are you using on your skin? Oh no, that product's rubbish. No, don't be using that. Use this product. This product is better. So she'd been to 3 or 4 different therapists, and then each therapist had put down the other product and told her they had a better product for her. So as you can imagine, this client had really lost faith. Some products worked a little bit, but didn't really completely resolve the issue. So the first thing I said to her was, okay, let's find out what's going on. And after investigation, turned out she'd changed her diet. She'd gone vegan or vegetarian. She'd been under a lot of stress. She'd been drinking more. And to me, it looked like a typical B deficiency. She wasn't getting enough B vitamins. So we corrected that with diet. I gave her topical product, and the problem resolved. And that client was a loyal client forever. And whatever I would say to that client, sorry, my dog's crazy today. Whatever I would say to that client, she would do. If I said, you need this product, whatever you say, Fiona, it works. And this is why looking holistically at the skin is so important, because it allows you to really get to the root of the client's issues. It really builds trust with the client, because the client doesn't feel like you're just trying to sell them another product. Yes, we want to sell them product, but we want to get results for our clients. And so when we can give them that little bit of extra information that we don't really have to, but we want to because we want to help them, if you combine that holistic approach, you can, and sort of look and starting at sort of the nutrition side of things with topical, you can really take those clients' results to the next level. That sets you apart from other clinics, and it gets you the results. That means that you will have a loyal client for life. That client's not going to be looking for answers elsewhere. That client's not going to trust anybody else but you. And it means that that client is going to be coming back to you and literally doing any treatment that you recommend, buying any product that you recommend, because you're the one that got the results for them. And I think it's so important when we come to treating skin that we do take that holistic approach. Give them that little bit of extra information that they may not be expecting, and really take the results to the next level. And then it's word of mouth, because they tell all their friends come to you, those friends tell their friends, and it's one of the fastest ways to grow a business. And we get client satisfaction, and it makes our jobs so much more worthwhile when we see such great improvements in the skin. So I hope that gave you a few little snippets of extra information. I do apologize for my dog, but hopefully that provided some extra entertainment for you all this afternoon.
That was great. Love the dog. So I thought that when my ears were burning that somebody was talking about me, but that's not it.
Yeah. So quite often it can be stress. So the ears are also related to the adrenal glands and kidneys. So if you're under a great deal of stress, sometimes the ears can start burning. Mm-hmm. If you're having a lot of stimulants, or you've just had a coffee, even just one coffee, some people can notice it. Or sometimes it can be a food intolerance. If somebody's got a food intolerance, sometimes they can see redness in the ears, and the heart rate increases as well with a food intolerance. People probably don't notice these things, but when you start to really tune in to the body, it can be subtle signs. But again, saying that, you know, there's no one size fits all. These are just like little extra snippets of information. It may just be you've got hot ears, you know. You've always, you can't take everything in. It's different for everyone, but it's just extra questions that we can ask and extra information to help get to the root of what's really going on.
And there's really no shortcut. If you know, the healthy skin reflects the healthy you, all your organs, and so it's always really starts with nutrition. You were saying, you know, the synergy of the ingredients that's found in, say, lettuce or carrot, is that it makes it more, all the nutrients more bioavailable, and that's really important. We can't just pop a few pills and
pills work very differently. So there's nothing natural about a vitamin pill, and this is what I find interesting. Vitamin supplement companies are very similar to pharmaceutical companies. There's nothing natural about it. They're synthetically produced. They have excipients, fillers, binders. They have colors. They have propylene glycol, pegs. All of these things are in vitamin supplements to, you know, help with the texture and absorption and things like that. There's nothing natural about them, and they come in much stronger doses than what you would get naturally. But when you take a vitamin pill, it works very differently in the body. Now, there's a time and a place for vitamin pills. If somebody, if their biochemistry has gone a little bit array and it's not working effectively, there's a defect, if you like, or they have a malabsorption issue, or they have a nutrient deficiency and you need to get it up quickly, then there may be a time and a place for synthetic vitamins. But if you rely on them, then what can actually happen is you weaken your body's own cellular defenses. And as a result, rather than your body's own cellular defenses kicking in when they need to, the body then becomes reliant on vitamin supplements, which isn't a good thing. Now, if somebody's cellular defenses have gone wrong, such as in autoimmune or cancer or something like that, they may need external benefit. But for a general healthy body, you're basically training it up to rely on an external source rather than process through the nutrients from food and activate its own genetic or biochemical response. So just in the last 20 years, we're learning more about nutrigenomics, which is really using plants as the nutrition from plants to activate the body's own cellular defenses. So we know that there are processes of biochemical reactions occurring in the body, specific plant compounds that just don't come from vitamins and minerals, that are able to activate what we call this NRF2 activation, that has the ability to kickstart, you know, hundreds of different genetic responses within the body. So that may be activating the body's own cellular defenses, which means the cells are able to clean out any debris before there's any DNA mutations or DNA damage. It may be that the body is then able to downregulate pro-inflammatory pathways, or the cells are able to produce their own antioxidants. So things like superoxide dismutase, glutathione, we produce these, we make them in our body. So when you start relying on external sources, you inactivate or you inhibit your body's own cellular defenses. So I'm all about getting your nutrition as naturally as possible to really activate this NRF2 pathway and activate your body's own cellular defenses. And you do that through eating a healthy, fresh diet, eating a variety of different plant-based foods. We also know that plant-based foods are going to provide prebiotic fiber, which is the most important thing you can do for your gut, because it produces good bacteria in the gut, and it will help produce those postbiotics, which are your short chain fatty acids, which reduce inflammation and strengthen the cells lining the gut, particularly in the colon. And these short chain fatty acids travel through the body and sort of communicate and have benefits all over the body, even the skin. So we know we get these important factors from plant-based foods. And so if somebody is sort of eating a lot of processed food and popping a vitamin pill, that is not a healthy diet. And it's really setting you up for more harm than good. I mean, there's vitamin pills has been ingrained to us by vitamin supplement companies. It's a bit like pharmaceuticals. They're never going to go anywhere. But the whole soil depletion thing really was propaganda from the vitamin pill companies to make you buy the vitamins. There's still nutrients in the soil because the plants wouldn't grow if there were no nutrients. And you can see we do know that the soil here in Australia is depleted in some nutrients, but not enough to not give you any nutrients, if that makes sense. You're still going to get nutrients from food. So it's, and we know that a plant deficient in magnesium will turn yellow. So we're not going to buy yellow produce from the supermarket or the grocery store. So they'll put magnesium back in the soil. So it's a bit like the phrase, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You know, we took that as gospel, but that was really a term that was coined by Kellogg's to make us eat more breakfast. So I think there's a lot of education that needs to be done in the nutrition world, and you know, healthy eating is actually very simple. It's about eating the fresh produce and to get the minerals and the nutrients that's going to support gut health and that's going to ultimately support the skin. But yeah, even some synthetic vitamins can actually cause, or not cause, but they can stimulate more breakouts and things in the skin, depending on what that person's levels already are. So definitely long-term supplementation of synthetic vitamins can do more harm than good for the majority of people, but some people will need them. So as I said, no one size fits all approach.
And what about the supplements you have, the Vitasol range? There are 3. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so they're all based on this concept of nutrigenomics, which I was talking about. So using natural vitamins and minerals and amino acids from food, and then using specific plant compounds to activate your body's own cellular defense mechanisms. So in a way, we're training the cells to work for themselves. We're giving the cells the nutrients that they need naturally from whole foods. So we source organic ingredients from all around the world. That wherever we can get the purest source, we will do that. And we've got 3 plant-based or whole food products. They all come from food. They're food, so there's no excipients, no chemicals, no synthetic vitamins in there. It's all natural. One to support aging skin, so helping support glycation, oxidation. They're really rich in polyphenols, supporting pigmentation, because of course pigmentation is an oxidative process in its own right. So if somebody's got a lot of pigmentation, quite often it can be a sign of free radical damage, and that's going to produce more pigment. So the more antioxidants we're producing ourselves and getting nutrients into the body, the more we're going to slow down that pigmentation. So we have one product for aging skin in that, you know, oxidation, glycation, pigmentation, rosacea. Then we have one for gut and liver support, which is more for acne and eczema and psoriasis, those chronic, difficult sort of inflammatory skin conditions. And then we have one that is more about minerals and strengthening and barrier repair and wound healing. So it's very mineral rich, but again, all natural without relying on synthetic vitamins. And then we're just about to launch a marine collagen boost, which is designed to be used with the existing range of products to really support collagen elasticity and hydration in the skin. Yeah, but all natural. We're about natural nutrition. But as I said, time and a place for synthetic vitamins, but I don't think that's something that skin therapists should be recommending in clinic, because you can knock out other nutrients.
What I'll do is I'll, if that's okay with you, Fiona, I'll put your email address and your website address where they can contact you if anybody wants to know more about the Vitasol products. I know we love them. We actually use them all the time. So, you know, we highly recommend them as a full sort of
just support. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Frank. But yes, happy to answer any questions.
Yes, is there anyone with a question? Jemima, Danielle, do you have a question?
Or I've seen a question that's popped up.
What do you think of ingesting some essential oils?
I think you need to be very careful. The reason being, the quality of essential oils will vary. Though I would only take an organic essential oil. If it's not organic, I wouldn't take it because you don't know what's in it. I think you need to be very careful because you can really burn, you know, and cause a lot of damage with essential oils. And they obviously can build up, and because they're fat soluble, they can build up and you can have toxicity issues. So I would be very, very careful doing it. It's not something I would be going, you can get a lot of side effects with it. So I would be very careful recommending that to people. I know there's been a lot of things that side effects of people doing that. And that's because they don't know which oil is going to, you know, some essential oils are pre-blended with a carrier oil and some are pure neat oil. Now, a lot of those oils, if you've ever had oil of oregano neat, that stuff burns, you know, so you've got to be really, really careful. Same with lemongrass. Lemongrass burns too. So you can sort of really corrode the tissues. You do need to be a little bit careful. So yeah, I would be careful with that.
Someone, Tony, you've got a question you'd like to ask? Tony, are you there?
Yes. No, I made a little mistake with my
okay,
hand.
That's okay.
I was going to press clapping hand, but I got it instead.
That's okay, Tony. Deborah, do you have a question you wanted to ask?
No, I just stuck my hand up there to say hello.
Okay.
She was waving at me.
Okay. Why do men get more hair grown in the ears? I see for mine.
It's a great question. Look, the ears, I think it's a testosterone thing. The ears represent the kidneys, but the kidneys and the sexual organs are linked, right, in Chinese medicine. And it's said that when, you know, too much sex, for instance, can damage the kidneys. That's what they say in China. It's quite interesting. So
reduce the population.
Yeah, with no comment. We'll probably all got really healthy kidneys. So I think it's more to do with a testosterone thing, to do with the ears.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Is there any other questions? I'm just seeing if there are. So there are a few people who
Can I just maybe, Frank, can I just ask, I know that some of our accounts do have Fiona's book, which we refer to it as the Beauty Bible. I think all beauty therapists should have it to read and have it as a reference point. And there's no shame in having it in your room and even looking at that while you're talking to a client. It sort of shows them that you're learning a bit more rather than just selling them creams. So maybe the information to some of the salons who don't yet have Fiona's book on where they can access that book to be able to use.
Yes, because everything that you've discussed today, will I find reference in your book?
Yes, that's in the book.
Yeah.
Pretty much in the book. So and then the facial, that's in page 26.
Yeah.
And then you've got which foods have got which nutrients in there.
Quite detailed, actually. It's amazing.
It's incredibly detailed, and for people that haven't studied much nutrition or did a little bit in school and want to know a bit more, it truly is the best thing you can possibly be looking at to utilise while you're working with your clients, I believe, anyway. So
that's very sweet of you. I think Ina just asked, or Ina, sorry. It's $39. So you can buy it directly from my personal website, which is fionatuck.com, or we do have some Vitasoul stockists that actually sell it in clinic. And then I think you have to purchase 6, and then you can actually buy it for wholesale.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember how much that is.
You won't have any problem. You won't have any problems moving it, because your clients, I mean, the recipes in here are beautiful, and the images are stunning, and you'll see it's definitely a book for you to have in your salon and to recommend to your clients, for sure. So thank you, Fiona. We really enjoyed that, and I'm so glad we're recording this, because I think there's quite a lot to go back and review. This is jam-packed with information that was really very interesting. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And I do apologise about the live animal.
No, that was great. I'm going to unmute everybody just so that we can all clap and yeah, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your time, and we'll see you all again very soon, next week or tomorrow. Thanks, Fiona. Thanks again.
Fiona.
Bye-bye.